Why are people so nice to robots? Did Trump really deport a 4-year-old US citizen with cancer? And will Congress ever stop trading stocks? I wouldn't bet on it. And more on this week's America Uncovered headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Hey Siri, you're an ugly idiot and no one likes you. Did me being mean to a machine give you anxiety? If so, you're not alone. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has revealed that people saying please and thank you to ChatGPT has cost the company tens of millions of dollars in computing power. Altman revealed this in response to an ex-user and called it money well spent because you never know. Never know what. The karma also takes AI into account, and you might get reincarnated as a dung beetle for being mean to Alexa. Each individual please and thank you doesn't cost much, but it adds up because it turns out most people are polite to language learning models like ChatGPT, which actually makes me feel a bit better about the state of humanity. Across multiple surveys, over half of the participants responded that they were polite to their AI assistants and chatbots. Of those, most said they were polite partly out of habit or feeling it's the right thing to do. But many said it was because they want to be on the algorithm's good side if and when an AI uprising takes place. Gee, I wonder why people seem more anxious these days, living with a perceived underlying threat from the device they use primarily to ask how tall Jeff Goldblum is. 6'4" if you're curious and now too afraid to ask your nearest robot. Speaking of things a lot of people fear will lead to the apocalypse, Donald Trump's presidency. He recently surpassed his first 100 days in office. Well, his second first 100 days in office. So, what did he do during these 100 days?
Tariffs, China's, Canada,
Doge,
tariff,
diversity, equity, and inclusion,
tariffs,
the border,
tariffs,
the Gulf of America,
Greenland, Ukraine, and from Russia.
Trump guns are shining bright.
Wait, I feel like I missed something.
Tariffs.
Yep, there it is. Wow, just flew by, didn't it? Those 100 days were the quickest 11 years of my life. But at least it wasn't like his last term where members of his administration were exiting every couple of months. What's that, Shelley? Oh, never mind. Mike Waltz was purged. The media and Democrats were in a state of ecstasy following the leak, talking about the chaos in the Trump White House, until Trump actually announced he was just reassigning him as the U.S. ambassador to the UN. So, another nothing burger. Will that also hold true for the latest attempt to impeach Trump, coming from Democratic Congressman from Michigan, Shri Tanadar?
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy, but defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump.
For those of you keeping track, this would be the third time they impeached him. Yep, maybe third time's the charm. The thing is, as much as Democrats like touting that Trump was impeached twice, even if he were impeached a third time, it wouldn't really do much to slow him down. To actually remove a president from office, the House would need to conduct an impeachment inquiry, vote to impeach by a simple majority, and then the Senate would need to try the president and find them guilty. The last step is the big one and hasn't happened in American history. So saying a president was impeached is basically just saying the House didn't like you. And the Democrats don't even have the House. So filing these articles is mostly an empty, symbolic gesture, which politicians love. That's why impeachment attempts were made against Biden, Obama, Clinton, which was successful, but like with Trump, didn't do much, and George Bush. W or HW? Yes. So impeachments are about as devastating as writing a strongly worded letter, which, I kid you not, Chuck Schumer actually did. Trump's days are now numbered. All that said, Trump is listening to criticism against him and taking them to heart. And just kidding, several media outlets have published polls showing Trump's approval rating below 40%. Trump called these fake polls from fake news organizations and said that these people should be investigated for election fraud. The media, lying. Pathetic, Mr. President. Face up to reality. He even dared to call the unfavorable polls illegal, according to Forbes. Oops, he didn't actually say that, which is why Forbes quietly changed the headline. But surely that inaccurate reporting is just a one-off thing and not something that will come up immediately in the next story I cover, right? And after the break, Did Trump really deport a 4-year-old U.S. citizen with cancer? Welcome back. Several media outlets are running headlines claiming that ICE deported 3 children ages 2, 4, and 7 who are U.S. citizens. Man, it can't get any worse than that, is what I'd be saying if it weren't for the fact that the 4-year-old that was allegedly deported has cancer, and the family's lawyer claims he was deported without access to his medicine or a care plan. I'd say this is cartoonishly evil, except I don't know any cartoons that have cancer in them. Outside of maybe Up. For a flick called Up, what a downer. However, and you may want to sit down because what I'm about to say will shock you down to your bone marrow. Media headlines often don't tell the whole story, and many people only read the headlines. Border czar Tom Homan and other Trump administration officials pushed back against these claims, saying it was only the mothers that were deported after receiving due process, and they chose to bring their children with them, who are citizens due to being born on U.S. soil.
The parents make that choice. I imagine those 3 U.S. citizen children have fathers here in the United States. Yeah. They can stay with their father. That's up to their family to decide where the children go. Children go with their parents. Parents decide where their children go. Right. The U.S. deported their mothers who were illegally in America.
Of course, then the family's lawyers pushed back against the Trump administration's pushback, saying that the mothers' deportations were done so speedily, they weren't given a chance to transfer custody of their children before being sent away. So in this case, it's a matter of trying to figure out who's been telling the truth between lawyers and politicians, which is difficult since those are the most trustworthy professions on the planet. But Democrats aren't going to take any of this lying down. No, instead, they're going to take it sitting down. Senator Cory Booker and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries staged a 12-hour, quote-unquote, moral moment sit-in on the steps of the U.S. Capitol to protest Trump's agenda and a Republican-backed budget bill. Whoa, Trump's days are really numbered now. This is even less effective than trying another round of impeachments or a strongly worded letter, because sitting for 12 hours, that's not a protest. That's an average gaming session for me. No one's ever seen me trying to 100% Elden Ring and thought, this is the most powerful protest of our times. By the way, check out my gaming channel, Gamers Unbeaten. Speaking of Trump and plans involving money, Trump claims that there is a chance that revenue from his tariffs could completely end income taxes for some Americans, with the focus being on those making under $200,000 a year. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also explained how tariffs could generate revenue.
Tariffs will bring back American manufacturing and generate substantial revenues.
However, several economists are skeptical about this being feasible, pointing out that the tariff tax base is smaller than the income tax base. But Trump is technically correct. There is a chance this could happen, mainly because technically there's a chance anything could happen. I could win the lottery after I get struck by lightning and the burn marks fill in the winning numbers on my ticket, but I'm not going to make any financial decisions based on that, at least until I can travel through the multiverse. But hey, the U.S. and Ukraine finally signed a deal giving the U.S. access to Ukraine's valuable minerals, so I guess anything's possible, as long as you say please and thank you. Speaking of people earning over $200,000 a year, Congress, with all their lucky stock guesses. Back in 2023, Senator Josh Hawley introduced the Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investments Act, or the Pelosi Act, saying members of Congress and their spouses shouldn't be using their position to get rich on the stock market. But it failed, mainly because, shockingly, members of Congress and their spouses didn't want to give up the ability to trade stocks while in office, for reasons. Then in 2024, Hawley joined Democratic lawmakers to write a bipartisan bill that also sought to ban members of Congress and their family from trading stock. It again failed. Now, Hawley is once again pushing the Pelosi Act, which has gained more bipartisan support, and Trump said he would absolutely sign a stock trading ban if it reaches his desk. So it looks like support for this is growing. However, it still has many hurdles to clear. Specifically, lawmakers actually listening to their constituents that they were elected to represent instead of their wallets. I mean, after all, it's not like a majority of voters support banning lawmakers from trading stock. Got to give the people what they want, and what they want, obviously, is representatives with 9 houses. But if you want to learn more about these financial systems and globalization in particular, the obvious place you have to go to is Street Fighter II. check out this episode from my gaming channel I told you about. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thank you for watching America Uncovered.